DPLS stock, Darkpulse Inc. For the session of the 6th of April 2022, it closed at $0.0509, a gain of 4%, 32.2 million shares across the tape, which is regarded as being above average. And in that session, the price crossed below the 50-day moving average. Says price was crossed above the 50-day moving average at some point. Yes, price rose through the 50-day moving average of 0.05 on above average volume, and but I think it didn't close there. It's just inched backwards below that. So this is the daily chart you're looking at right now. So if I take it all the way, if I take it closer to the 3-month chart, you'll still see it's just going to give you a magnified view, at least of the last 3 months. So you can see here. So we see that as of the 11th of March, the stock reached its quarterly high of $0.09. This is probably the first time it's reaching there in some time, in a couple of months, if not weeks. But suddenly it was abandoned, and then it began to retrace. Do we have any data on that from that time, March 11th? Yes, we have the data. Volume is 51 million. It's not the highest it has ever been. As a matter of fact, the next day it was 72 million. What does that tell us? 72 million. The next session was 72 million. Yes, that session was on a Monday, and then it dropped. So it's an indication that yes, sellers definitely got involved for 72 million, but the short interest was only 21.99, indicating that maybe it wasn't just short sellers. It was also a case of sellers and buyers taking profits. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is that that upward trend has it was abandoned, and at some point there was yet an attempt to get back on it again, but it wasn't successful. And what did we see there? It reached this second peak of 0.076 on the 22nd of March. So the next session after that was the 23rd. Let's get the volumes. 23rd of March. Let's see, what do we have there? Yes, we have the volume was slightly more, and the shorts were not as much as such. Okay, but as a matter of fact, on that day, on the previous day, on the 22nd, that was probably when the short sellers began to set their trade. But in any case, what we know is that the stock is in a strong bearish trend. It's this 200-day moving average is flagging. It's falling now. It's falling alongside its 10-day moving average. But interestingly, what we're seeing also, going by the volumes from OTC short report, we can see that the volumes started to rise. Let's pick it up from that 23rd of March. They began to rise, indicating yes, it also corresponds to this downward trend. 23rd of March, yes, it began to rise, and we can see that it's reached this peak of 29.944 million on the 1st of April. Where's 1st of April? Yes, this is the 1st of April. Yes, and at that point it also got its support just slightly above this 50-day moving average. And what did we see again? It began to gradually fall and has progressively continued to fall. That corresponds to what we are seeing here. This is what it's indicating, that maybe buyers are gradually going away. Are they going away? Okay, the sellers are gradually going away, but we can actually see that on the gradually, even though the short volume, short percent was quite high. This is actually highest it has ever been, but it's not about that figure, because it all depends on the volume. So the short volume, okay, it's also quite high as well, 11.829 million as well. So more than half of what was traded on the 5th. But in any case, the point I'm trying to make is that yes, it seems the sellers and the short sellers are gradually going away, because we have seen the volume tail off gradually, but at the same time it gained this last trading session, which is not reflected here in this data, is that is at 32.2 million. Yes, 32.2 million, which is higher than anything we have seen apart from what we have seen, apart from what it was as of the 15th of March. So yes, the stock gained 4%. So yes, it may be because of that. We don't exactly know what the short volume was. So, but what is certain is that maybe buyers have sellers have exhausted their appetite. They are, it may have reached the bottom. It may have, reached. I mean, going by this is the 5th of. So this is the 5th of April. Yes, the volume was, that's the same volume. We're talking about 22.29, less than what it was in the previous one. Usually when the volumes tail off, and when they tail off, it begins to give you an idea of whether it has reached a peak or it's getting to a bottom. And to some extent we can just vaguely conclude that maybe it has it may have reached the bottom at the moment now. But if it doesn't continue to extend and maybe falls again in subsequent sessions, maybe we may conclude that maybe the downward trend hasn't ended yet. But just in the meantime, in the short term, based on the fact that the volume may have it has just tailed off, we can clearly see that it's dropping off now, even though it has dropped off now, and that was a low figure. Yes, it has dropped off. This 22 million was at a low. Yes, so we can just probably conclude that maybe it is gradually topped. The downward trend may have stalled at the moment. And we can clearly see that it has now the volume has picked up, and it also corresponded to an increase in the price, even though it's not a huge one, only 4%. So fingers crossed. This is no conclusion that it's going to rally, but in this very, very short time, we have a target of $0.0614. This will take it all the way somewhere here, 0.061, around somewhere here. This is where it was as of the end of March. So it wouldn't be out of place for you to get there. Okay, so we can go down here and see what the trend analysis is saying. It's saying that it appears to be in a strong bearish trend, which is absolutely the case. Both the 200-day moving average and the MACD histogram are falling. It's also lagging the S&P 500. Momentum is strongly bearish. The 14-period slow stochastic oscillator is below 20, the level which many analysts call oversold. This means that investors have been actively selling shares and driving the price lower. Yes, and the volume for that session was lighter than usual, trading 32.236 million shares versus an average of 56.621 shares per day during the last 12 months. The unbalanced volume indicator shows that longer term accumulation is giving way to near term selling pressure by traders. Yes, and the volatility for the last 10 days is 163.51%. so our target again in the very short term is 0.0614. We have other targets, longer term targets. In our previous videos we're still standing by those targets, but just based on what is going on now, this is what it is. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video.